understand how something works, it's very easy to take it into account in everything you do. If you don't understand how something works, it's very easy to not take it into account. It's very easy to make mistakes, not because you're doing anything wrong based on what you understand, but because you don't understand how it works. The analogy that was in the program for this evening was, imagine that you've, just for whatever reason, had the hot and cold taps reversed in your mind. And the one that was supposed to be hot, cold, and the one that was supposed to be cold was hot. And you didn't understand that. You just thought, well, I guess here the cold tap burns my hands. And it's just something I got to learn to put up with. And so you find a coping strategy. Right? That's what you do. You would find a way to cope with the fact that every time you go to wash your hands, you're going to burn them. So maybe you put the soap under there. Then you put the face cloth under there and you use that to wipe it off. You'd get creative. Maybe you just decide that, you know what, there's nothing I can do about it, so I'm just going to get burned. And I'll just develop calluses. I'll get calloused to this so it won't hurt me so much anymore. Maybe you'll decide to just stop washing. Right? You'll find a coping strategy. We always do. Now imagine that you've been doing it that way for 5 years, 10 years. Your parents did it that way. If it was good enough for your grandparents, it's good enough for you. And then one day somebody comes along and goes, have you ever tried the other tap? You go, what do you mean? They go, well, look. And they turn on the other tap, and you're kind of scared to put your hand under it. You don't really trust it. But you trust them enough to try it. So you put your hand under, and it's like, this doesn't burn. Well, how many times does that have to happen before you just start using the new tap? Yeah, thank you. I was just curious. Maybe you had a different answer to me. It would be once. Right? Now that goes in the face of modern psychology that says that habits get deeply ingrained and we get these grooves in our brain, and it takes a lot of effort to change a pattern that's been there, especially if it's a childhood pattern, especially if it's a genetic pattern that was passed down from generation to generation. But with a new understanding, there's no reprogramming necessary. When you see a better way, you'll take it. Now, you might occasionally, not thinking, turn on the old tap and go, ah! But then you'll just flick the other tap on. No problem. Well, it's the same thing with life, with our experience of life. We have been taught from birth, and our parents were taught, and our grandparents were taught, and their grandparents were taught, since the beginning of recorded time, that the world worked from the outside in. That our experience of life came from our circumstances in life. It comes from our environment. It comes from the people in our life. It comes from the politics of our life. It comes from our parents. It comes from all the places outside us that our experience supposedly comes from. So of course, just like finding a way to deal with the burning tap, we have developed strategies over millennia for trying to shape the world in such a way that we have a better experience. Right? That's the dream of every generation, is to create a better life for the children. And that better life is almost always about better circumstances. It's about having more money, more reliable source of money, better skills, more of the stuff of life that will make your life better. It is the goal of a progressive society to better its conditions, to better the experience of its people. And if the world actually worked that way, that'd be awesome. And the problem is, because we think the world works that way, when it doesn't better our experience, when we have more than we have ever had at any time in history, and people are more miserable than at any time in history, we assume that the problem is us. We must be doing it wrong. We haven't done enough yet. We haven't made conditions enough better. We haven't become enough better as people. And it's completely innocent. If the world really worked that way, that would be a totally logical conclusion to come to, would it not? What I'm proposing this evening is that the problem is not you and your lack of discipline. The problem is not that you have not been trying hard enough or that you didn't get the breaks growing up. The problem is not that you were born in the wrong time, in the wrong culture, that you've got the wrong refrigerator, that you drink the wrong beer, whatever you think it is. It's not that you married the wrong guy or married the wrong girl. It's that you don't understand how the system actually works. And when you start to understand how the system actually works, a whole new set of behaviors will start making sense to you. And a whole old set of behaviors will stop making sense to you, and you will change like that.